Hi, Danny. How are you doing?
Hello, Phil. How's it over there somewhere that doesn't have Zimbabwean air? You know, Phil, you know how in like Breaking Bad, there was that, the filter for Mexico. The sepia, yellowish air. What would the filter be to show that you're in Zimbabwe?
Weak no.
I mean, well, so okay.
You know that effect Chief Ben uses on his face?
Yeah, so everyone's face would be that. I finally started watching Day of the Jackal, and they clearly use, color grading to show different effects, right? So whenever they're showing like Germany, it's very like gray and blue. And then when they show Spain, it's like yellow and red, and you can see like the moment I noticed it the first time, I couldn't help but see it every time going forward. And I don't know, it made me think like, what color palette and color grading and effect would they use to show Zim? And I don't know, but I feel like there would have to be dust.
It would just be Namo.
There'd have to be dust.
Namo and portals. The filter would just be, it'll be like a gradient of just those white people lounging in the portal, but at like 10% transparency.
No, I'm thinking. When you watch ZBC on a DSTV decoder, and it's just got that white noise just going on. You know what I mean? I feel like it would be that.
Actually, you've touched on it. That's actually what the Zimbabwean filter will be. Remember when you used to have VHS and the cassette got dirty?
Yes.
That's our filter. A dirty cassette. It's about to get chewed. Or that has been chewed and just...
I promise we are patriotic and we love our country. But I won't lie, Phil. The last month, it's had hands.
Dude, everyone I've been speaking to has just been saying Zim is wild, bruh. Even the people that are well over, like, I don't think I'm going to Maldives this year. Yeah, things looking rough.
Oh,
I might have to rough it out in Cape Town.
So Taz is finally back, and she's seeing flames with Zimbra.
She's been living in a functional country for the last month.
She's seeing flames.
But Dan, we need to sit down and talk to you. Like, where was Munaribo? Why would you take someone from Cape Town and force her to live in this squalor, in this ghetto-ass country? How's Munaribo? Jack.
I'm not forcing her. Obviously, long term, the plan is to move. But right now, we're doing... Okay, Phil, there's no point in living in another country if you're not earning. So, you know what I mean?
Dan, I don't lie. I would rather be unemployed anywhere else, even Kazakhstan, even Uzbekistan.
Anyway. Positivity, push P.
Everybody gather round. Two broke Twimbos in the town. Listen close to the sound. I need that guy and feel charged. Baby, bringing the fun. With your podcast vibes, we not stop till the morning sun. Every episode got me laughing, can't control my smile. Talking about the latest news with their unique style. From Zimbabwe to the world, they spreading good vibes, keeping it real and entertaining. They're on the rise. Two broke Twimbos,
Bring the heat to the floor.
Everybody get guy and feel charged in control. We gonna keep moving.
Hey.
We gonna keep moving.
Phil, do you feel like washing away your stress? Washing away the stress that you are feeling from all the conversations we're having?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Two Broke Twimbos. We here! Listen, if this was late last year, y'all wouldn't have had an episode this week because Phil is in Joburg. It's a different recording day. We just got a kitten, by the way. Literally, an hour ago, got dropped off. My parents' cat had a litter, and we booked a kitten. So as soon as it finished getting weaned, we were ready for it. So it just got delivered.
Wow, look at you just breaking up family homes. This is what you're about right now, Dan. Just breaking up feline families.
I've been about that. I've been about that. You know what I'm saying?
Disgusting.
So look, there's a lot going on right now. But we thought we want to keep some level of consistency. So we're here to deliver the podcast. And we got you. You know what I'm saying? We got you. How are you doing, Phil? How is it over there where you are?
I can't complain. I'm booked and busy. I'm very busy. I'm a little tired. I'm in crippling debt, but I'm working my way out of it. And that's all you can do, Dan. All you can do is just keep working until the tax man comes to knock on your door.
This reminds me of a pre-presidential Trump when he did an interview and he spoke about how, do you know what? Trump would have been generational if he went into comedy. Do you know what I'm saying? we missed out on some. So he's doing this interview.
Did you watch? Sorry, I got.
Let me just quickly. Okay, this is very short. It's very short. He says
so
in this
much computer. There's so much computer.
No, he says
Tesla.
In this interview,
so
he says he was I think he was $1 billion in debt or something like that. So he says, if you walked up to a bum in the street and you asked him, how much have you got? And he said, I've got $0. I would have said, you have $1 billion more dollars than I do. I was just like, yo, this man is generational. If he was doing a Netflix special, it would break servers. But unfortunately, he had to go into comedy and we missed out on, you just have to look at his old tweets. My man said, there's a tweet where he said, he's so glad that we haven't discovered any alien civilizations because if we had, the US would be sending them money too. What? Generational comedic talent, but no, now he's here destroying the world as we know it.
You know what? Actually, I think, we were discussing some sort of evergreen topic. Hold on, let me see. Let me see. Funniest tweets. Let's see if someone has compiled some of DT's funniest tweets. Let's see here. Okay, Dan, I've loaded up a few. Let's see. Old Times of India. Let's throw that in the ring. All right. Let me see if I'm just gonna read off a few here. Let me see if I can find some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are not funny tweets.
I got
Shout
one
out
here.
to you, Tweet Hunter. You are bad at this.
I got one here from 2018.
Mm-hmm.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works.
My button has more good.
Robert Pattinson should not take back Kristen Stewart. She cheated on him like a dog and will do it again. Just watch. He can do much better. My Trump.
Did you tweet that?
He did. Yeah, this was in 2012.
You know what? Why am I even searching? The best tweet by Donald Trump is this one right here. Let me make sure I pull it up so I quote it verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they make it so hard to not let you see it? There we go. Here we go. From Donald Trump, July 25th, 2019. Give ASAP Rocky his freedom. All caps. We do so much for Sweden, but it doesn't seem to work the other way around. Sweden should focus on its real crime problem. ! Hashtag free Rocky. It's still up. Yo, ASAP Rocky has really completed life. Baby daddy to Rihanna, beat a court case, and a free Rocky tweet from Donald Trump. My man's done it all.
Oh man, My man said, the Coca-Cola company is not happy with me. That's okay. I'll still keep drinking that garbage. Anyway, all right. Anyway. Listen, let's get into the show. I know we say this every week. I know we do. And it always ends up being a 3-hour episode.
Don't say it. Just start the show. Don't say it. Just start the show. Don't say it. Just start the show.
You know what? You're right. Let's start with Africans doing big things. Oh, wait, no, that's not how we start. You see this? You see, we changed the setup slightly a little bit and then things go awry. By the way, it's awry, not Ori. Fix yourself. All right, Phil, y'all.
Good to go. Sound of it, thing them. Get mad now.
Let me hear a drum play.
Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. This is Two Broke Twimbos. My name is Danny, that guy, a.k.a. Danos, the Mad Titan, a.k.a. Denford Wegumaraini, a.k.a. Denimbi, my life, your entertainment, a.k.a. I'm done with these streets. I tell you what, ain't nothing better than a hate watch that comes to fruition. Ooh, Mo Salah kiss goodbye to that Balon d'Or. Ooh, a.k.a. Hakuna Mumundi Danmu.
That's right. And he's even not only unmistakable, the internationalism. Phil Chad, aka Flame lost the big boss, baby. Aka Fidza P, aka Sexton Lovo, aka Filthy Phil. And of course, a Shamare and the Tangerero Drinky. What it do, what it is, what's up?
Phil, I know you pay a lot of attention to basketball and other sports balls, but I noticed that recently you haven't been paying that much attention to football and you care less and less about it. Which is understandable. Like I've said, I think any average human can only accommodate two sports properly. If you're doing more than that, then you're neglecting your family. So I know you're into Formula One.
We're looking at you.
I know you're into Formula One. So I know you watched the Australian Grand Prix this past weekend.
Indeed.
I know you're very closely following basketball. I have no idea what's happening there. I assume the Los Angeles Walruses is a team.
It's not that actually. I'll explain why. I don't follow all these sports closely because I'm very busy. But the sports that do a good job of like making it easy to hop in and hop out are the sports I can keep up with, because sometimes I don't need to watch the whole game. I can just watch a highlight reel, hop in, hop out. So like with football, I don't watch 90 minutes because it's a lot of time, but I'll hop in, hop out. But also, we won the league in December. I was like, done and dusted. And I also haven't been saying anything because I didn't want to jinx it. But I've been following.
Okay, so if you had been watching, I would have asked you about your opinion of Salah. I touched on it before and you didn't seem to care that much, but it
because
really has...
You're dinnering.
No. Okay, agenda aside... Wait, let me turn down this music. Agenda aside and, clowning rival fans and all of that aside, right? I think Salah has been the best player in the Premier League this whole season. And he definitely deserves to win the Balon d'Or. Or at least so I thought, until Liverpool came to an a very bad exit to the Champions League, a loss in the Carabao Cup final, an FA Cup loss.
How was it a bad exit then? Were we blown out?
Were you? Well, I mean, in the first leg, it really looked like boys against men.
But once again, what is the score?
The second leg, it was a lot more even. But the point is, Liverpool is out. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very difficult for Salah's Ballon d'Or charge. So I did want to ask you as a Liverpool fan, do you think that he has a very strong chance of getting the Ballon d'Or? Or is it going to be Rafinha, Vinny Jr.?
Because I find that argument very reductive and somewhat silly, because he's had 2 bad games in a week. It's also during Ramadan. Maybe my man's is hungry. Has anyone thought of that? But seriously, it's 2 bad games. Let's look at the totality of the stats. You can have 2 stinkers. We're human beings. Human beings can have 2 stinkers or 3 stinkers or 4 stinkers and still have an incredible season. Has Salah had an incredible season? Yes or no?
He has absolutely had an incredible season.
So
And
disqualifying someone it's 38 games in the Premier League. It's 16 plus games in the Champions League. The Carabao Cup and FA Cup varies on how far you go. So on minimum, you're going to have between 40 and 50 games. If 5% of those games are bad, which is 2.5 to 3 games, does that disqualify you from the Balon d'Or? That's a ridiculous logic.
Okay. Hold on. Balon d'Or, by the way, I don't know what their official definition is, but as far as the rest of the world is concerned, it means best player in the world this season.
Not player who's had the most consistent run of good games.
I agree. So obviously it's a very high bar because we're talking about how many leagues, how many teams within said leagues, how many competitions, because it's not just the individual leagues. There's a Champions League, Europa League, etc., and potentially international competitions, which is what got Jamie Carragher into trouble. So Salah is very likely going to win the Premier League. He has carried the team on his back because I can't remember what the stats were, but like in the last 15 games or something, it's 2 goals between Diaz, Jota, and Nunes, and the rest is all Salah. So absolutely, he has had an incredible season. And he's had a couple of stinkers. I think 3 back to back, but it's okay. Everyone is allowed some. And like you said, there's mitigating circumstances. But can you be the best player in the world, but you didn't make it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League? You lost the finals of the Carabao Cup. You didn't make it to further stages of the FA Cup. The only thing you have is the Premier League. I think there's fair questions to be asked. And if, for example, Barcelona were to make it to the finals or to win the Champions League, Rafinha he's had a similar season to Salah.
This is also this is what I don't understand, but this is across the board. And I think by definition, a lot of analytics and prizes in sports are deliberately vague because it encourages debate. And we're falling for the trap. But what I've never understood is how the success of a team sport is a reflection on individual awards, especially when you are 1 of 11. That's what I've never understood. You could literally be the best player. And this is where it doesn't make sense. If we took Ronaldo at his peak.
I'm alive. Yes, Phil, let's go. Okay, I'm listening to you.
If we took Ronaldo at his peak and we put him on Ipswich, does he no longer qualify for the Balon d'Or? Even though he's playing at a Balon d'Or level. He's on a terrible team, racking up 20 goals a season. No, not 20 goals. Let's say 60 goals a season.
Okay,
but
that's not possible.
They're doing the treble of the Johnson's Paint Trophy and everything that entails. Does that not mean he's no longer the best player in the world? Because we need to clearly define these things. And sometimes that's the frustration I have. It's like right now what's going on with the NBA, the MVP league, the MVP race. Right now, by the metrics that have been used in the past few years, the best player with the best stats is SGA. But Jokic has these outlier amazing games. Jokic just had the first game with 30 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists. And now people are like, he's the MVP. But that's not the metric they used last season. So the same goes for here. When we say the best player, what do we mean? Are we saying the most goals scored? Are we saying the most impressive goals scored? Are we saying the most wins? Are we saying you can't be a Balon d'Or winner if your team doesn't do X, Y, Z? Because then again, why is it an individual award with a team sport? There's a lot of things that to me are a little nonsensical. Because when was the last time a defender won the Balon d'Or?
I think the closest was Virgil. In recent times, I don't know about decades ago.
I never said in the short list. I said I got end up a stage which in the winner Balon d'Or.
Okay, so the answer to that is, at least in recent memory, it hasn't happened. But there's a simple answer to that. Whether right or wrong, the concept of the Balon d'Or is people are going to vote. Football journalists are going to vote. So to a certain extent, there's an element of people have to feel, oh man, okay. Ooh, there's so much to attach here. Okay, I promise it's not going to be a sports episode, but allow me just spend a few minutes on this. Just a few minutes. Stuff that's been percolating in my mind, you see. Okay, so to answer your question about individual versus team sports, I think it's very valid. You're right. This is a team sport of 11 players. If one shines so brightly and the rest are kind of mid or even slightly above mid or even kind of good but not that good, the team might not go far, but that one player is playing at Balon d'Or level. Fair enough. But how do we measure that? Or how do we confirm that? We could use pure stats, but stats is not what most people use. Stats is something they take into consideration. So if someone has an incredible amount of goals, yeah, sure, you'll take that into account. But Haaland didn't win the Balon d'Or last year. And I think some people thought he should have. Some people definitely thought he should have. But some people also like, yeah, he's got a lot of goals, but can we really say he's the best player in the world? I think some people can fairly have questions about that. So it can't be just stats because no one scored more than Haaland. But is he the best player in the world? I don't know. He's maybe the best finisher in the world. But like the rest of his game has probably needs a lot of work. Fine. So stats definitely play a role, but not the whole role. Team performance plays a role, but not the whole. I don't know how much it would weight. Let's say we're looking at 100% measurement of a Balon d'Or player. So stats in terms of how many goals, assists. Okay, maybe that contributes, let's say, a very heavy 40% to the total 100. What about team accolades? Maybe 30% to the whole accolade, right? I mean, to the whole weighting. What about eye test? And by eye test, I mean, there's some players who are efficient, but, they don't have the flair or the chutzpah, you know what I mean? Or the what's the word that the kids are using? The aura. There's just like a certain level of watching someone and you're just like, yo, this is amazing versus, wow, another goal. You know what I mean? I would argue that Salah has a lot of aura, but there are many players who have more aura than him. Even aura feels like a very young word. Let me try and say there's a certain, whenever I hear people speaking about this, I completely understand what they're saying, but they always speak of it in 0 versus 100 terms. Salah has a lot of flair. He is in the top maybe 2% or 1% of players with flair. But is he in the top 0.1%? I think people would say, no, there's other players with more flair than he does. So I wish people were a little bit more able to explain this issue of whenever they talk about flair or eye test with Salah. When you watch Cristiano Ronaldo and you see him command that ball and command that field, same with Messi, same with Henry when he did it back in the day. Hazard didn't have as much end product as some of these other players we're talking about. But when you watched him, oh, my man commanded that ball. He entered, like you could imagine an entire stadium standing up as soon as he gets the ball. I don't know what it is that does that, but it's like a certain style of playing. Salah definitely has that, but he's not at the level of Cristiano, Messi, Hazard, Henry, etc. So that's why sometimes I question I don't think he quite fits. So, okay, let's say the flair or the eye test or the aura or whatever you want to call it contributes also a certain weight towards the entire percentage. And then maybe there's other things as well, like availability and reliability. And, okay, we're really watching you for your attacking prowess, but have you also been disciplined in positioning, defensive play and whatever? Those might probably play lower percentages. So if, for example, Salah on stats is 40 out of 40, on eye test, he's 38 out of 40 or 28 out of 30. And then on defensive play, et cetera, it's like, okay, maybe he's like 22. On, you combine all of those, you're like, Salah comes up to a total of 85 out of 100. Very solid score. And part of the consideration was team accolades. The team that you're part of, did it go far? It's going to be very difficult to crown you as the best player in the world if the team you play for doesn't really go very far. Okay, he got a Premier League. Okay, that counts to something. But you kind of dropped out of all 3 other competitions that you were in at times that you weren't expected to. So I think it's very fair for people to say, excellent player, could be best player in the world, but wait, hold on. Let's discuss whether he makes it to best player in the world because of these team accolades.
I find that argument, once again, I don't agree with it simply because the team has overachieved. This is the first season with a new coach, pretty much the same squad which failed to deliver last season. And it's fair to say they've exceeded expectations. So I like even the qualitative stats you bring up, like eye tests, etc. I find it, what's the word? I think that's the beauty of sport, but also the nonsensical part of sport, which I guess is part of sport in general, is that there are certain things that people care about that in the grand scheme of things don't make sense or mean anything. So like Tim Duncan, undoubtedly one of the best players in the NBA, but he used to be castigated because he was boring in the eyes of people who are casual fans. And he was boring because he mastered the fundamentals of basketball. They used to call him the big fundamental.
So boring but effective, I assume.
Yes, because he won 4 championships. Right? And at the end of the day, Salah was part of the squad that brought a Premier League to Liverpool after a 2-decade plus drought. He brought a Champions League, or 2. And did we win an FA Cup? Oh yeah, we did. So whether he's commanding or good or is special on the ball, I don't care. Is he scoring goals? Yes or no? It's like Haaland. Like that's the same argument you brought up. Haaland, I remember last season, he was scoring and everyone was like,
oh, well, he's scoring tap-ins, if it wasn't for the crosses and if it wasn't for the fact that he was an Adonis that was a 7-foot who could overpower and outjump everyone, he wouldn't be scoring this many goals.
What? Is the man effective at his job? Yes or no? It's like some of these arguments are just dumb to me.
Fair, but remember, the Balon d'Or is not some scientific. I used a somewhat scientific description, and that was just to make a point, but it's not really that. It's a bunch of journalists who are voting. So if they think, if the general accepted thought is, most of those were tap-ins, or maybe the accepted thought was the entire team is so amazing, and all he had to do was just be a good finisher, and now he gets all the stats. He scored 50 goals in a season or whatever it was, right? So now, but then you're like, but was he even the best player in that team? Yes, he's the one who scored the goals, but was he the best player in that team? You see, people would raise questions like, you know what? I don't think Haaland was actually the best player in Man City. It was probably Rodri. But he wouldn't have been considered for Balon d'Or. He was in the following year, but he wouldn't have been considered for Balon d'Or because, oh, wait. Which year was he? So I'm mixing up years. So not last year, the previous year. Anyway, my point in all of this is I think that Salah stands a very solid chance. And if I were to be 100% neutral, I think he probably stands the best chance of winning a Balon d'Or in terms of who deserves it the most. But questions will be raised because my man didn't follow through with his team in the other 3 competitions. So questions will be raised. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, let's not spend too much time on sport.
It's been 30 minutes, Dan.
I actually have a Zimbabwean I have 2 Zimbabweans doing big things. Okay, so first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Zimbabwean Afro House DJ hailing from the City of Kings by the name of Night Freak. Night Freak has been doing great things. He just wrapped up his Asian tour. If you had been following him on Instagram, you'd have seen he was all over the place in Asia with huge crowds doing his thing. Yinde is something that Phil and I have attended, and it's something that was launched here in Zimbabwe. And we just got confirmation this week that Yinde is going to be making its international debut at Miami Music Week at the end of this month on the 27th of March, which is a big deal. I love the idea of a Zim artist who started an event here in Zim. He was the headline of his own event. He invited other DJs. It became a thing. It moved from Bulawayo to Harare. In Harare, it became a thing. It was huge. And then now it's going to be officially part of Miami Music Week. That's so dope, man. Shout out to Night Freak doing amazing things.
Yeah.
In
Are you going to India this weekend?
I think it's called Roots. This weekend is Roots.
Oh, Roots. Yeah.
Night Freaks thing. Yeah. My plan is to absolutely go, but it may depend on a couple of other things. But yeah, the plan is to attend.
Freudian slip, defend.
Attend. So yeah, huge shout out to Night Freak. The second person I was going to shout out, I've literally just deleted it and I I thought I had written it down, but I clearly haven't. You know what? When it comes to me, I'll say it because what the heck? I could have sworn I had it down somewhere. Actually, Phil, Vamp, say something nice about Night Freak while I quickly check on my other browser, which I ended up closing.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Are you well out there in the world? Don't forget, if you have questions that you'd like us to answer, send them to donate@twobroketwimbos.com, and we will be sure to answer them on the show and save your relationship. Unlike the other listeners whose relationship was ruined. There's actually a few emails that I need to go through from listeners. Because, sometimes, Dan, have you noticed we're getting a lot of spam and S posts in the email now?
Whew. Well done, Phil. Okay, I got it now. I got it.
I was going to say, bring up edits and then just view changes.
I appreciate it. Was I had it open in Safari, but then I was like, oh crap! All my savings are in Chrome, and I'm trying to move away from Chrome, but I hadn't, migrated everything yet.
Anyway, I tried divesting from Chrome. You can't. We're logged in, bro. It's too late.
It's so difficult, man, and Chrome is so bad right now. Anyway,
you can't export your extensions or nothing, bro.
So this week, Zimbabwean influencer The African Finder, real name Marvelous Nyongoro, announced that he was officially one of the brand ambassadors for South African tourism, which is insane because what a bag fumble. So anyway.
There was no bag. That money was being chowed.
No, I mean like ZTA could easily have taken. I mean, my dude has been going around. He's been going around Zim restaurants and Zim.
Dan, theoretically, let's be real. I'm not trying to be negative. Okay, first and foremost, let's give Marvelous his flowers. Yo, shout out to him. He's been doing his thing. I've met him a couple of times. Good guy. Love his hustle. And he's been there. He's been doing global. Also a Mandela fellow like myself. So gang. So
well known for his standard opening, sup good people, and then he gets into his review of wherever he's going, and he's amassed hundreds of thousands of followers, and he's a thing. Like if he visits, he has influence as to whether your restaurant or spot is going to do well or not. He's
the Keith Lee of Zimbabwe.
Exactly, he's the Keith Lee of Zim. But
now the Keith Lee of South Africa.
just to quickly, before Phil gets into it, he posted on his social pages, I'm beyond excited and humbled to announce that I'm an official brand ambassador for South African tourism. This is more than just a title, it's a mission, a journey to showcase South Africa as the ultimate travel destination in Africa, and it begins now. I can't wait to take my followers on a journey through South Africa. From breathtaking landscapes to rich culture and world-class food, I'm thrilled to share this massive adventure with you all. Thank you, South Africa, for the love, support, and trust. Let's make magic together. Congratulations, Marvelous, aka The African Finder. Please check him out on the socials. But yeah, now, please explain, Phil, why couldn't The African Finder, a Zimbabwean creator and influencer who I think the majority of his content is Zimbabwean spots, why could he not be a brand ambassador for ZTA or Zimbabwean tourism?
Okay, because taking away the antagonistic nature of this, I'm being very pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, you and I work in Zimbabwe, we deal in Zimbabwe, and I think sometimes people get upset on social media, and rightfully so, because it is unfortunate that a Zimbabwean has to work with the South African government to get any form of a claim, which is also hilarious because this is why they don't want us in this country, because we keep taking jobs from South Africa. We keep overachieving. But the problem being is our country is too rotten. There's no way a government institution would see the value in this person. There's no way they'd be able to work with him. And I'm saying this not as someone who's upset and do it. It's just like the practicality and the pragmatism of having to deal with businesses and government institutions in Zimbabwe. I know how they operate. I can imagine how censored and terrible that content will be. They'll be like, sup good people. So today we're at Nyanga Lodges and Game Park where we got to see a zebra and eat sadza and carpenter.
Thanks to the visionary leadership of His Excellency.
Hey, whoa, Daniel, whoa, took it a little too, whoa. So rewind that, dog. Whoa.
Look, I'm not saying this to disagree with you. I 100% agree with you. But I also think one of the big problems that we face, and I'm Phil, I've said it on this podcast before. I'm the guy who's going to stay home and I'll give you guys eats for when you need to go to, wherever you need to go. I'm not trying to say anything, but y'all know what I mean. But it's, man, if we're just going to be, man, that's just how Zim is about everything. It's just
no,
so
Dan.
depressing.
But this is the thing. It's not about that's
so
how Zim
depressing.
is. It's we've got to address the problem, right? And I think the start of the problem is, why is the Zimbabwean working South African government? Okay, ZTA, what are you doing? Let's address that issue. But it needs to be a concerted. Like Kandoro. I don't know if you saw like last episode of Propaganda.
Shout out to King Kandoro with Propaganda.
You're speaking about the minister's campaign for the IOC, which also technically both you and I somewhat fall under her remit and report to her. So we'll be voting for you if we could. But he asked questions, legitimate questions,
valid questions.
And in the comments, you could tell who was paid and who was not. But the legitimate thing is, if we do not have the ability to at least even ask questions and say, guys, you guys work for us. You are civil servants. What are you doing for us? And those questions be met with gravitas and courteousness and a serious response, an earnest response. What are we going to do? And the fact of the matter is, ZTA, what has ZTA done in the last 2 years besides Chief Koti? Chief Koti was trying to be African Finder. That's what they were doing. No hate to Chief Koti, but that's what he was doing. Is like,
what up,
can
Chief?
we point?
He listens to this podcast.
Shout out to him, bro. Like, no, but let's be frank. And he must take it back to them and say, but actually, guys, you know what? It should have been a concerted effort. It should have been Chief Koti plus African Finder plus another influencer plus another influencer plus even like what Saru does with the tours he does in Eastern Highlands. Like, these things should not be isolated. You know what I mean? But on the flip side, I know this for a fact. There are white people. I don't want to sound like too much like a hotel because that's actually another topic we can get into later. But let's be blunt. There are people in the tourism industry who happen to be white, for example, who have tapped into a very lucrative market of high value, high cost tourism experiences to white foreign nationals, and they are doing extremely well. But we will not know.
I
about
know
them.
some of them.
And
I know about one specifically, and we had other work, radio work, and she was like, "Okay, come through to the office." The office is like attached to their house, and that house.
So I know a number of these people because these people were struggling to process. There's like payments that need to be processed and stuff. And I say all this to say, now, are these stories unavailable to the public deliberately because these people want to move on the low? I don't think so, because these are very high, like, people know of these establishments. But why isn't ZTA also highlighting? Shouldn't ZTA be partnering with them and say, this is an amazing thing. How can we highlight the story more? Not because it's almost like a if you know type thing.
Yeah.
Where the wealthy who have these bespoke experiences know that, I'm going to Zimbabwe for an amazing time. The majority, who are the tourists ideally that would help raise the economy, who are like middle income, sometimes even low income individuals, who are just like, I want to see what's going on in Zim, but I don't know much about it. How come it's so difficult for them to find them? And there are things like websites. I've been approached by a few government bodies. Like there was a time I was doing work with a government body. I think right now their website is still hacked. If you go to their website, it takes you to anime porn. It's a government website, and it's been like this. Let me see if it's still there.
I mean, don't tell us the link.
No. I'll send it to you, and I won't publicize it. I want to see if they fixed it. No, the website is now down. They took it down.
So you know what, Phil? PR, marketing, and all of that play a huge role. But I won't lie. You can only shine. Let's say a rock. You can only shine it so much. I think the biggest...
That's not the noun. That's not the noun you should be using. But okay,
I completely understand. I think
you can only polish a rock so much. That's what you can only polish a rock so much.
Obviously, dude, Zim has amazing potential tourist destinations, right? But the experience of being here, the experience of figuring out money and banks and rates, the experience of trying to shop and buy things when it's so difficult, the roads and how bad they are, the difficulty of doing simple things like hiring a vehicle. Like the most simple things are so difficult here. I can completely understand why someone might think, hey man, Vic Falls looks amazing, or Mana Pools looks beautiful, or yo, Wange National Park has amazing animals. But hey, I don't want to deal with the rest of that. You know what? I'm just going to go to Krugersdorp. So I think the marketing and the PR is important, but we also have to we just have to fix the functionality of things, man. Things just have to work. Things have to work, bruh.
Yeah, not only that, I've explained this many times and it's true. It's cheaper for me to fly to Cape Town and have a weekend in Cape Town than it is to fly to Vic Falls.
Which is insane. That's insane. But yeah, it's also true. A flight to Cape Town, I know this because we paid for one just not too many days ago. Literally $300, 200 and something. But like your restaurant experience, your going out experience, going to the beach, buying some stuff, staying somewhere at a hotel, a nice hotel, you'll spend a fraction of what you spend going to Vic Falls. It's insane. So yeah, we got to fix a lot of things. And I honestly think it's not like stuff isn't expensive because this is an expensive place. Stuff is expensive because everyone has to increase prices to cover for everything that we have to deal with. If all that stuff was fixed, man, stuff wouldn't be expensive. Man. It wouldn't be expensive. Anyway, point is, shout out to the African Finder. Marvelous, do your thing. I hope you get a good bag from South Africa Tourism. I've dealt with the people there out at South Africa Tourism a couple of times. They look after their people. I know they will also be taking you to nice places and you're going to be staying in amazing places as you experience stuff. Congratulations, dude. But yeah, this really shows a big lack that we have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anyway, South Africa probably also realizes that a huge chunk of their tourism comes from Zim. Because people here just go to SA for weekends. Of course. Yeah, so absolutely.
But also, I think, should I publicize this? No, let me not. I've got his analytics from some work that we did. He's got a very global audience. His global audience is actually quite impressive. I'll say that much.
So last week we had a very heated discussion, or it wasn't even that heated, with Zimura Representative Henry Makombe, Deputy Director, and some people were accusing us of putting him in the blender.
Who said that?
Someone said that on X. That they put him in the blender. I was like, I thought we were very kind and fair.
Fam, if we wanted to put him in the blender,
I thought we were very accommodating and understanding, but apparently some people felt we put him in the blender. I want to tell you a funny story. So that Saturday, I was at an event. I was doing some consultancy work. I was overseeing a media team, and that team, at some point, they were just sitting and they were discussing. And they, amongst themselves, they were just discussing, I think they were mentioning some artist, I think it was Victor Knonga or something, who had to deal with this $150 licensing fee. And they were talking about how insane it was. I was like, this is so funny because just last night, we had an interview with the guy who explained it. And they were like, yo, we're trying to understand how it works and we're trying to figure it out. Da, da, da. I was like, just listen to the episode, man. We spoke to him in detail and he explained it fully. When I was listening back, Phil, I was like, we were too kind. We were too nice.
Let me be honest with you, Dan. Like, let me be honest, because to anyone who was listening back, and let's be fair, Henry we just gave you enough rope to hang yourself. Because the law is dwas. Let me be honest. It's a dwas item. And then your rationale is also dwas. There's no legal backing. There's no precedent globally, locally, nothing. Your pricing, what feasibility? Like if we could have asked him, okay, you know what?
Scenario mapping, feasibility.
Let's operate on the premise that this needs to happen. Let's operate on that premise. Let's go ahead. What's your feasibility study?
Phil, even something as simple as the legal language. What you guys have mandated a license. What is describe? How does it work? And the description basically was like, look, it's vibes, Vibes. Because, come on, you just know. You just know. That's not how legal works. If it's a license, it has to be clearly defined. My man said 90%. At first, I thought that was when he said in the beginning, I thought that was written somewhere. And I was like, oh, snap, I hadn't come across this. Okay, at least it's something that's written down, but clearly it doesn't make sense, but at least it's something written down. But no, they only said 50%. So in fact, someone referenced that, I think Tsunki represent on our Twitter. So, I'm not going to lie.
No, because you asked him a question and then you realize, actually, damn it, Dan has revealed the loophole. You know what? Okay, let's adjust on the fly.
No,
because what
the loophole? It would have been a loophole if that was the actual position, but it's not the position. He was describing how you just know when an artist is a cover artist. So I said, okay, how does one transition from being a cover artist to an original artist? Is there a way to measure, or is it vibes? You just know? You just know, come on, guys. Come on, you just know. If 50% of your songs, okay, is it 50%? If an artist, if XQ goes and does, XQ original artist does 50% his songs and then he does 50% Tuku covers, is he eligible for that license? So we need a definition for that license, first of all. And then also what you're talking about, the feasibility. I was listening back and I was like, we were too kind.
No, but at the end of the day, I think we're
it's not him, obviously.
But what we did, I think, is we've highlighted an issue. It's now onto the members of Zimura, the artists. Please, artists, if you are an artist in Zimbabwe, please join Zimura. This is why. So that you can push back on this nonsense, but push back with information. And we try to ask questions that would inform, because the people that are commenting aren't part of the music industry. They're just general observers who are able to see, there's so many holes in this argument. Now, if you're part of the industry, you'll be far more informed about, dude, it's wrong here, 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 it's wrong here. Like, what are we doing here? And ultimately, that was the point, because I listened back to it and I laughed. I had a good chuckle.
Okay, I don't want to go back to what we discussed, right? It's there in the last episode. You can listen to it. But I do want to say, we are not, because it's being framed as if those who are against this are trying, you don't want artists to do, you don't want artists to get paid. Is that what's going on? You don't want them to get paid? Not at all. That's not it at all. We're not we're not trying to stop artists from getting paid. We're trying to say that this particular... That? No, he didn't say it, but his reasoning and his justification was, these guys, the original performers, are being, what's the word? They're being prejudiced. Exactly, they're being prejudiced of their potential earnings.
Which is a nonsensical statement, which you easily proved, but anyway.
So just to be clear, both Phil and myself 100% want original performing artists and composers to earn their worth or earn what is due. Mm-hmm. But we also want up and coming artists, cover bands, Mkomanwe Bosho, whatever it is, to also earn. We want it to be fair and for it to make sense. And it's so easy because one of the benefits of being so behind. There's very few benefits of being the last country in the alphabet, the last country when it comes to innovation, last country when it comes to ideas. There's very few benefits. But one of the benefits is you don't have to do anything new. It's been done in 200 plus countries already. Different methods have been tried. Some have worked, some haven't worked. All you have to do is look at what works and then apply local. You don't have to start from scratch. So anyway, there was a lot of feedback. There was discussion in our group. There was discussion on Twitter, in our Patreon group. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight it that, yeah, actually, when I was listening back, I was like, we were too nice.
No, we could have ripped him to shreds, but I think it then would have, the conversation, especially over the phone, it would have then become a debate.
Yeah, and it would have been yeah.
Yeah. And I think ultimately to me, there are certain things that are so nonsensical. If I propose them to a logical person, and I believe Henry is a logical person, even he struggled to defend it because he was like, and we're just like, okay, this is your premise. Okay, we're not even arguing. Just so walk me through your logic. Okay, so if this is the premise, this is what happens. Okay, really? Okay, you believe that? Sure. All right then. You know what I mean? And I also think that that's a healthy debate. It's a bit of a departure, but I've really become disenfranchised and disinterested in, like social media clips, especially on YouTube, where it's like, so-and-so destroys libtard.
Yeah.
Or, there was this video that was going very viral last week about the former comedian who's a progressive, and then there's like 20 conservative Trump voters, and he's debating them. And I'm watching it and I'm like, what's the point of this? Like, all this it's literally made just to make fun of the other people.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, there's no good faith conversation.
Yeah.
There's no one who enters that, who starts the conversation and it's like, you know what? Actually, you've raised some good points. My mind has changed. None of that happens. It's people just digging their heels in.
Yeah,
even as civil as it may, it's literally just, and I think that's the problem with the discourse as it stands today, is everyone wants to have sound bites and destroy people. Sometimes just have a civil discussion, and sometimes it's great to, you know what? I believe you're wrong because of A, B, C, D, E. Here are the facts. I've presented the facts to you, right? You've refused to accept the facts. Let's end the conversation. It's the same thing with Henry. I presented the facts. He also posited, I asked him, are there examples of this? He says, South Africa. I spoke to 5 people while that conversation was happening, because I sent the same message to 5 people. All of those 5 people, 4 responded. All 4 of them said the same thing. That is not true. That does not happen. It's a simple public performance license. So based on that, either the people at Zimura are very misinformed, which is very unfortunate and very sad to hear, or there's something more nefarious. But I'm going to default to they are misinformed, because I would not want to cast aspersions on our colleagues, because we know they're fighting for artists, right? They care about the artist. They're doing their best, their darndest to work for the artist. The oldest CMO on the continent, which has collected the most, is taking a 30% commission, which is one of the highest administrative commissions on the continent, because they're doing what needs to be done for the artist. It's not like they're embroiled in scandal after scandal with misappropriation of funds. That's not what happened at Zimura. And I believe them.
Anyway, that's what we spoke about last episode. Let's move on. That actually transitions well into what I thought we could talk about, because
wait, looking at the show notes, let me give the listeners a little peek behind the curtain. It's just, ga. Some story.
Phil, I put that there just for formatting because as you know, anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. As we were debating what we should talk about on the podcast this week, we normally look at some of the biggest trending stories and what's going on. So we have a couple of discussions. For example, there's a tech ombudsman discussion that was suggested in our Patreon group. But then I was also thinking, like, what are a lot of people talking about? And I realized something. In fact,
I think that we need to earmark. I need to do some research on that one.
Yes,
I've seen the story, but I'm not well versed enough to
same. We'll just do a very quick overview, and then over time we
can use Perplexity. Why are we doing this? This is just Perplexity.
Yeah, man. Tech ombudsman. I just want to say, I was trying to look at what are the biggest stories in Zim entertainment-wise. Like in the entertainment and media industry, what are the biggest stories in Zim that we could, perhaps give some of our input on or give some of our opinions on and share with the people who listen to us. That's what they come here for, right? And I realized, and it's a realization I've had for a long time, that, I don't care that Holy 10 went on a podcast and crashed out. Because I know I know why he does it. He's been doing this for years. But even then, the stuff that he talks about, I don't care that Prophet, whatever his name is, issued out a challenge to other prophets to see if they can guess what's in his pocket. I can't think of anything I care less about than that. But that's the biggest story in entertainment.
But that's the beauty of having diverse conversations. If there's so many podcasts, there's so many platforms in Zimbabwe. If that's the content you want, you will find it. But if you want us to be talking about this Night of Prophets thing, I don't even know about it until I saw clips, and I didn't even have the energy nor the interest to be like, what is going on here? I just was like, you know what, this looks like some nonsense. I'm moving on with my day.
I couldn't care less that Wicknell's wedding, there was lobola paid, and then the money was robbed, and then there was...
But okay, no, actually, but that's actually hilarious. Hold on, time out. Actually,
it is.
Actually, I've got a tie into this. Dan, I did not know this. Do you know Wicknell has a plane?
Has a plane?
Wicknell has a plane.
Okay, say this again. I'm failing to hear you.
Wicknell, apparently, allegedly, supposedly, but I saw it. I'm traveling here to Joburg. I get on the shuttle. So the plane was now parked at on the domestic side.
Phil, why are you saying this like it's news?
Hold on. I didn't know this. I didn't know. No, but dude, this is wild. Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
So we drive past, and now there's a plane. There's two planes that belong to a country. So I think they're diplomats in the country, right? Because their flags and the country name is on the plane. There's two private planes. I don't know. One looks like a Gulfstream. I don't know what model it is. I'm not an aviation expert, right? And there's a smaller plane, which looks like the plane that I saw on a few Zim Celebs posts. And on the tail of this plane is clearly a Mazibaba Christian logo. And someone that's on the shuttle said, "Oh, that's Wicknell's plane." And then someone said, "Nah, fam." And they were like, "No, legit, that's Wicknell's plane." And I was like, "Wait a minute, this mofo has a plane."
So the reason I know this is because I saw him.
So you know this one?
I saw him advertising that he was looking for a pilot because he was tired of using international pilots who don't understand that he wants sadza and that he wants a certain type of music to be playing. So he wanted someone who he can rely on, who fully understands. Plus, that pilot needs to be a supporter of the ruling party and and it was okay. Okay. Let me try and explain, Phil. Of course, there's certain things that may be maybe funny. Like,
Dan, I don't know what happened to your camera, but like your bottom half is now just black. It's like you're fading to black or something. I don't know what's happening.
I have this holder. I don't know if it was designed for. Yeah,
there we go.
It was designed for a Nokia or a what? I don't know. When it holds a heavy phone, it just slowly. This. Nah, man.
Have you tried getting rubber bands?
Maybe for next time, not for today.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. I think I've realized that, and this is okay. You know, Phil, when I used to prepare for the podcast, I had multiple places that I would look for potential talking points. Like things, what are people talking about? What do people care about? What could I provide insight on? What could I engage, fill in, and debate? Could we get some different perspectives on? You know, so I would look at the major newspapers of the day. I would look at what's trending on social media. I would look at pages like Zim Celebs, for example. And I would see, you know what? Probably 50% of the stuff on here is something that is not relevant, but there'll be some stuff on there that's relevant. The last 6 months, I don't think there's a single thing on there that I've seen and be like, you know what? We need to talk about this on the podcast. This Holy 10 situation, I didn't watch the interview, but just judging from chatter on social media, Holy 10 went on to Ola's podcast and he said stuff like...
You know what? Let's phone Dennis. Let's get Dennis to translate. Let's do that.
He said stuff like the only reason he married his wife, Kimberly, was because he was trying to get back at Volts.
Wait, what?
Yeah, insane, right?
Wait, what?
He literally said, I only married. In fact, maybe you want to hear it. In fact, no, I don't care.
No,
enough
I
about
don't.
it.
No, what? No, I'm just like, dude, like, what's like? Don't wait. Do they have a child together? Don't they?
I believe they do. Phil.
Nah,
So-
fam. This is what we call the proverbial crossing of the Rubicon.
Crossing of the Rubicon. Yeah, man. So, and the thing is, he obviously does it because every time he says something crazy or something wild, he trends, and that probably helps him to sell his music or his album or whatever the case is. So he reverts to saying wilder and wilder and wilder things. I'm sure there's probably other elements involved in there, but he apparently said some crazy stuff about Winky D, and he said some crazy stuff about who was the person he was recently beefing with? Man, I don't even remember. He said
The list is long.
He said the reason he didn't get nominated for Nama is because there's some girl that was taken. Yes.
Oh no!
Now it's-
Breaking news: Dan's phone has collapsed. Oh no! There's no tripod. You see, Dan, you know what? This is the power of Holyton. Check, Holyton's so powerful. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna break his camera.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
This is also a sign that maybe we should wrap up because sadly, Dan, I've got to head out just now.
100%. I'm with you there. Let's wrap up.
Okay. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to earmark some talking points for next week. Listeners, hold us accountable. I want to talk about the Hotep situation. I want to talk about Dr. Umar being a deadbeat dad. I find that incredibly ironic. I can't really say hilarious because there is a child that's been harmed, but we're going to talk about that. I really want listeners, if you can, please, if you have the time, please watch FD Signify's video on Hoteps and please watch Ill Bill's video on Hoteps. They're very illuminating.
It's a very long video, and I would also recommend don't watch it. Are you crazy, Phil?
Oh,
Right.
did you watch it?
I started watching and I was like, you know what? Come to think of it, there's some interesting points here, but I also don't care about America.
This is why YouTube has the 2x feature. I don't know why you don't use it.
Yeah. Of course, I was watching on the 2x feature, but I was also like, I actually don't care that much about American culture.
Okay.
I care. I care a little bit.
Dan. Oh, you didn't watch it. So if you watch the Ill Bill video, do you know that Ill Bill shows that there's a small relation, but a direct correlation between the Jehovah's Witnesses and Hoteps? They literally base some of their ideals on a publication.
That would be interesting, I guess. I'll check it out, but I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been feeling more and more like I consume too much American media. I used to watch all the late night shows and all the Stephen Colbert's and and I'm just like, it's just too much American media. I know everything. I know what's currently happening with Trump versus Elon versus I know Kamala, and I was like, no, it's okay.
Then
It's okay.
Yeah, yapping. I can leave you to yap, but I need to go. You can carry on.
No. Let's wrap it up.
I love it. I love it. So guys,
cool.
thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please support. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're available everywhere. We're going to be dropping some video content soon. We're testing out a new system. We're going to see if it works. And when I'm back in the studio, we'll take it to the next level. Yeah.
Indeed, twobroketwimbos.com/donate to support the podcast. As you can see, even in difficult circumstances, we were able to put an episode together for you. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. We were able to catch up just a little bit, but yeah, please join us in the Patreon group where we have more in-depth discussions. But for you to do that, you need to become a Patreon subscriber. twobroketwimbos.com/donate. So yeah, on that note, I think we're going to end it here. There's some new music. There's a new song dropped by Takura that he sent through to me. I'm going to tack it on to the end of this episode. It's called Zimmen.
Is this going to be released officially or it's going to be under the Shona Prince?
I have no idea. I don't know. It's not part of the project that he released. It's something different. It's called Zimmen. And apparently, I think someone told him something about Zimbabwean men because he's addressing some woman about why are you going to paint us all by the same brush? So I was like, oh, interesting. But Takura's good at music, man. He's just good at music. All right. So I guess we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Two Broke Twimbos on all social platforms. Please drop a like or a comment on whatever you're using to listen to this podcast. Please, a comment. And I guess we'll catch you in the next one. We out.
We out.
What?
One thing is Zimbabwe will do is elevate your anger levels to a different level. The anger that is Zimbabwe will give you.
Wakati ya udana ne wakomana wekuzim vanokusiya wamubin wakomana wekuzim vanotengesa madream wakati ya udana ne wakomana wekuzim avambokupe wedding ring wakomana wekuzim vanokusiya wamujim ndiana kakubaya moyo ndiana kakurwadzisa moyo ndiana kakucheka ndiana akakusisa mjolo ndiana kakukanda mdondo ndiana kakutamba tsoro ndiana kakupedza muto Baby, why you crying? Wakati we machinda are nice. You don't want them cause they really ain't your type. Uno Friday on my bad boys, but they gon' hurt you more than twice. Fine, but don't come to me crying about it. Don't involve me like I'm a part of it. You made your own choices, but now you doubting, yeah. How you gonna put the whole country under one umbrella when deep inside you know that there's a 1G? Who's willing to do whatever but you say? Wakati ya udana ne wakomana wekuzim vanokusiya wamubin wakomana wekuzim vanotengesa madream wakati ya udana ne wakomana wekuzim avambokupe wedding ring wakomana wekuzim vanokusiya wamujim ndiana kakubaya moyo ndiana kakurwadzisa moyo ndiana kakucheka ndiana akakusisa mjolo ndiana kakukanda mdondo ndiana kakutamba tsoro ndiana kakupedza muto ndiana